Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Small Stages, Big Sounds. And to start 2025, I'm highly honoured to actually get to speak to Blaze Bayley, who is currently also doing a radio show for Planet Rock. And I'm going to ask him some questions about the origins of the band and the plans for the future. So, okay there, Blaze.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about the origins of Wolsbane?
Yeah, well, we started off really a lot like every band that were just not experienced, couldn't play that well, but wanted to be in a band. The actual seed of the start was Jace Edwards and Jeff Haitley. They were at school together and they started the band. They were looking for a singer. And in the Tamworth Herald, which was our local weekly paper, and we had a great music section in there, they put in a little advert which said, heavy metal singer required, no experience necessary. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Because I had decided to become a heavy metal singer after I saw Ronnie James Dio. I loved singing anyway, and I worked night shifts in a hotel, and I had to clean the hotel. I used to sing very loud to drown out the sound of the Hoover. And I saw Ronnie James Dio and Birmingham Odeon sing Children of the Sea, and it was an epiphany. And I got back to my night shift after that gig. I started pushing that Hoover around, and I thought, where am I going to be in 10 years? I'll still be here, hoovering this hotel, or would I be, or what? And I thought, well, what would I do if I could do anything? And I thought, well, why can't I do anything? And the answer was I'd be a singer like Ronnie James Dio and be in a band and tour the world. And then, a couple of weeks later, there was that advert in Tamworth, just a couple of lines in the Tamworth Herald, phoned up. I went over, I had an audition, I screamed like a cat being tortured. And I think because I was the only one that showed up, I got the gig. And none of us were good enough to get into anybody else's band. We couldn't play very well at all. We had 6-watt amps that we used to put on the sideboard to make them sound louder at the back of Jeff Haitley's garage. And that was the start. We just started like anybody else. And the one thing that we did do, I think, that was different to a lot of the people in bands around us at that time is we stuck together. Whereas a lot of people, they would go, oh, they've got a bit better equipment. I'll join their band. Oh, they seem to be a little bit bigger. But I mean, you're talking about the difference between 3 people and 5 people in the audience. And we just stuck together. We had our own way of doing things, and we wanted to be the most outrageous band in Tamworth. And that wasn't difficult, to be honest. But there were 20 bands. That's how great the local scene was, David. When I started with Wolsbane in 1984, there were 20 bands on the scene playing all different kinds of original material. And it was a great, vibrant scene that we had in a small town. It was just great to think about going back to there. And nobody really worried about what kind of genre it was, whether you were pop or metal or soul or anything. Just, have you got a guitar amp? Oh, we could use your guitar amp, our vocal PA. That's just put the gig on yourself, get all the money yourself, get family, friends from school, whatever. And that's how we started, really. I think I was very, very lucky to have that start.
So, other than the rock god that is Ronnie James Dio, God rest his soul, what other influences in music and style during the early days of the band?
Well, we all had very different influences, all kind of coming together around AC/DC, Motorhead, Van Halen, Ramones, Sex Pistols. But going away from that, all very different things, from the Cramps to New York Dolls, all sorts of different things. But we came together around, it was the sound that we had was a little bit like Van Halen going out with Motorhead for the evening and having a party and then finding themselves back at the Sex Pistols house. So that's how we were, really. And You know, we loved Aussie and things, but we all had different shapes. No song was easy. It was all like, oh, it's got to be like this. And I think because it was challenging and we had those different influences, we never went, oh, well, we can't stay together. We've got musical differences. We were like, well, what can we do that we can all agree on?
Yeah.
So we were constantly working together. Oh, well, we can all agree on this. And I think that's why we had an individual sound. We stayed together and we worked things out together. And, you know, from the very, very early stages, we saw it as no one is more important than anyone else. There's 4 of us in this band. Don't matter what you do. That's it. You all carry the gear. You all get a credit on the songwriting.
So how did you come up with the name Wolsbane?
It's Jeff Haitley came up with that name, the bass player in the band, and he's a fan of werewolf and old horror films and stuff like that. And there's that small thing of the Wolfsbane blooms at night, which Jeff really liked. And he said, I think this would be a good name for the band. It just kind of stuck with us after a while. And then when you start finding out a little bit more about it, Wolfsbane it's a plant and also named monk's hood. And you're allowed to grow it in your garden. It's very poisonous. It's a very toxic plant. So, as the more we found out about it, the more that we liked it. And there's a kind of weird link with the occult and werewolves that seems to be in the back of the Wolfsbane journey. But that's where it came from. And if you think about what the werewolf is and what it signifies, there was some kind of beast that was within us that was trying to get out of a small town using our music.
Well, you obviously did that and did well at it. So the ethos of this podcast is about small stages, big sounds. And as you said, you started off in small places, okay, and went on to be big sounds. It's about encouraging the smaller venues and encouraging bands to play in the smaller venues. Do you remember the first place you played?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've even written a song about it. It's called Smoke and Red Light, and it's on Spotify if you want to look it up. And it's something that Jeff Haitley and myself did the lyric for. And it's about that first gig where it was Tamworth Arts Centre, and it was a very small theatre, 100 seats sloping down, and the stage was flat, so you were all looking down on the stage. And I think we charged £1, and we did it with a friend of mine, Graham, or a friend of ours, from a band called Child's Play. And it was, we just all shared our equipment and we did that gig together. We invited friends from school and family, and we sold out that first gig, 100 people, and we made a bit of money off that. And that allowed us to make our first demo, which was the white demo titled Wolfsbane. So I remember that gig absolutely distinctly, the nerves that went with it, everything. And I had a friend at the hotel that I worked at, the DJ, had a smoke machine. And I said, can I borrow your smoke machine? He goes, yeah, okay. And I put the smoke machine there. I didn't know how to turn the bloody thing off. So luckily there was curtains open, just a massive wall of smoke, couldn't see anything. Can't see my fingers, can't see, just play. You know, so it was an incredible experience. But the spirit back then, and I see this happening with young bands like Jailer starting out now, is, yeah, why don't we do our own gig? Why do we need a promoter? Let's just do it ourselves. Hire the room, do our own gig. That's it. And who gets the money? You do, the band. So don't give away your independence, I think. We were lucky then. The scene's changed vastly over the years, but I remember that first gig, man. Sadly, that's the registry office now in Tamworth.
I was going to say, is the venue still open?
That's gone now. But, man, it just... What incredible times we had there.
Yeah, this is the big issue, is the smaller venues are going to the wall at a rate of about 2 a week.
Yeah.
And like I said, the last one to go in this area was the Moon Club in Cardiff. And that was just before Christmas on West Womanby Street in Cardiff, there are 3 or 4 venues, well, 3 now, that a lot of the bands start off in.
Well, I think the problem is, David, that people don't understand the amount of work that it takes to run a venue of any size. Well, a small venue, that's not a job, that's a way of life.
Yeah.
That's an up at dawn, pride swallowing siege every day so that you can do something that hopefully will benefit people and something that you love. But it's so tough and there's very little help. And why are music venues that have been around for so many years, why don't they have a special dispensation on the council rates? Why do they have to pay the forward? It's cultural, not just business. It's a different thing to a shop.
The thing is with the cultural, it's always the cultural stuff, when there's any cutbacks, that suffers. Because my son's a musician, and the music school that he used to go to, they cut back with that when he was in school. So, it's the first thing to go.
I think that's a shame. But what I do think is the first thing to be cut back should be the rates on the buildings that these things use. Come on.
Yeah, that's for the music venue trust.
The
music venue trust is going for that. Yeah. And I think the culture secretary's on board as well. So
it's just, don't take this money off us. That's it. We haven't got it to start with. Don't take it off us. We're trying to do something cultural. Just, I don't know. It's very, very annoying for me and Wolsbane and for my Blaze Bayley project. We play independent venues and we are fully independent in Wolsbane as Blaze Bayley. I'm fully independent. We go to independent venues and we try to support them. That's it. And we try and work in partnership. Right. How do we do? Right. We don't want to sting anybody. Let's all try and make money together. Let's do something that works for both of us and all of that and build things. But it's so tough for people to run small venues.
I mean, as an artist at the level that you were at, I mean, the Music Venue Trust have done a very useful collaboration with a company that sets up something called Hereby. I don't know whether you've heard about it. Give me a sec. I'll just share the screen with you. This is the screen, and it's a website that's basically run from America, and it's got every venue across the UK and America of all sorts. And you can just search, put areas of it. I just put Birmingham in here just out of interest, and you can see all these different music venues, independent venues.
That's a great idea.
And you can search it and you can see what's going on. Along the bottom, you got this, if you want to find something to do, you got all this across the bottom. And it's literally every venue in the UK.
We are lucky here that we've got a few venues that are still going and independent.
But I mean, like I said, if you were looking for somewhere else, and you're thinking about a tour, then it's a useful resource for you to look at to try and plan your tour anyway.
Yeah, and also me and Kate, my fiance, we love live music, so we're often on the lookout for are any of our favourite bands playing. And who's in it. We love discovering new bands as well.
Well, I like I said, I'll come close out of that now. I went to see Cardinal Black on Saturday night, and there were 2 very good support acts with them. The one, it was a sort of an indie band from Newport called The Rogues, and the other one was an acoustic guy called Tom Jenkins. He's a sheep farmer, and he writes acoustic music and plays guitar. And they were both very, very good.
Nice.
But Cardinal Black.
Live and playing original material.
Yeah, all original.
Yeah.
Cardinal Black are brilliant.
Fresh ideas. It's just great, isn't it?
So, anyway, this week is Independent Music Venue Week, talking about that. So basically, you've got this tour coming up across the UK.
Yeah.
What sort of capacity venues are you looking at?
Well, it ranges from 100 to 500.
So it's a medium to small venue tour then, really. brilliant.
Here's the thing. If they don't care about the sound, I don't go back. If they don't respect my fans, I don't go back. But if they do care about the sound and they do respect the fans, and I can do my meet and greet before the show, which is always free, then I'm okay. Then I'm like, yeah, okay. If we're treated okay, why not go back? And before the hideousness of the pandemic, I was building up to a situation where I could go, we've sold out that venue, capacity of 100. Next time, we don't go bigger, we go 2 nights. And I think Dead Daisies did 2 nights in the Patriot, I think it was. Yeah, which for me, this is the way that we should be doing things, that we're supporting venues, and that's it. So that's the way I liked to do it. So I like to get close to my fans as well. And I like to be in a situation where fans that just have been there time after time, supported me for years, tour after tour, then I like to be able to say hello and how you doing, and at the meet and greet and get a photo together. So that's great for me. What's nice is now I'm still able to play some of those very intimate venues, and now some of the venues are much bigger, and it's 300 people and it's sold out. And I never really thought that would happen, but for some reason it has. I'm really happy about it, but I'm not leaving small venues behind. It's just my tour cycle is over 2 to 3 years. So I may not go back for quite a while, but that's because I'm going to other places.
Yeah, but there's the other side of the coin is, as much as some people like bands, some people say, well, I've seen him once, I'm not going to go again, you know? And, well, I'm not like that. If I like the band, I'll go. You know, I got no problems with that. So, given that you were doing this tour and you got Steelhouse Festival coming up, which is great. I hope you're looking forward to getting a good wet coat.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been warned about this. When I was at Planet Rockstock, then I met the main guy there, and he's saying it's always wet.
Last year was 3 days bone dry.
Wow.
It was glorious.
And everybody dressed for rain.
Yep. Like a good Boy Scout, prepare for everything. It tends to be windy, but it's a fabulous little site, and I'd be glad I'll see you there.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man.
Because it's a good weekend.
Great.
So, having said that, and me being friendly with the owner, would you consider sort of a warm-up gig in the Dragonfly again?
You'd have to ask the owner, really, because a lot of these things are restricted. You book a big gig, a festival, and in your contract is you must not play any gig within
in the area
radius.
Fair enough.
So that's what happens with big festivals. Any warm-up gig we'd do would be in another part of the UK that wouldn't affect ticket sales for the festival. That's just respect.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just...
You know, it's a smaller festival that we want to keep going. So we just respect.
That's fair enough.
So we wouldn't like to do anything that would affect ticket sales for them. But we would like to do a warm-up because we feel it's such an important show. We don't want to turn up going, oh, this is our first gig for months and months.
Yeah. So just a quick question. I mean, obviously, people are going to be interested in the transition from Wolsbane to Iron Maiden and back. You know, what was it like for you as an artist?
Well, if you think about it, I like to use a football analogy. So you can play in the Sunday League, then you can move up and play for the town. You might be semi-professional, then you might be fully professional, then you might move up through the league, then you might be in the Premiership. Then, if you're very lucky, you might represent your country. And in Wolfsbane, it was a professional level. We didn't get as much work as we wanted because what happened to us was, as we came out, we were just on the end of real rock and metal in many ways, and at the start of grunge. And grunge is the antithesis of what Wolfsbane are about. We are not about looking inside and looking at your shoes or anything like that. With the greatest respect to those musicians, Wolsbane, we're about, you know what? Life can be pretty crap. Let's not talk too much about that, and let's not take ourselves too seriously. We pride ourselves on doing music that we feel is important, that you can listen to again and again and get something out of. And some of it speaks about darker topics. But overall, when you come and see Wolfsbane or you put your Wolfsbane album on, we want you to feel good at the end of it. We want you to feel like, you know what? Yes, actually, things aren't that bad. We're going to feel that's what we want as a band, that we've taken you on a journey. And so that's what it was, really. And, you know, I think it's really nice to do a festival like this, and it's so close to everybody. You can walk around the site, and it might seem, I've done this at so many festivals last year like this, where you walk around the site, it seems everybody wants a selfie, and then after a while, everybody's got a selfie, and they just say hello. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, you saying about that, I did download a few years ago, and I was only there the Friday and the Saturday. I was there for Uberrock, and I did 64,000 steps in a day and a half.
Isn't it? It's mad. It's mad.
And my Achilles tendons didn't forgive me for 6 months.
It's absolutely mad. I got great boots. And it was muddy as hell the last download that we went to. I loved it, you know. But I got my chair with me and I pitched it in just the right place on the second day. And man, it was so muddy and so many steps. And people were passing me. And I'm like walking in slow motion and they're looking at me. And I'm thinking, I am not slipping over and I'm not falling face down in this mud. And I didn't. But every step was like, okay, another step. Okay. But it was great. I really loved it. It was a good lot of. I really enjoyed, I know it wasn't for everybody, but I really enjoyed the mix of music on that download.
Well, I went and I go to see some bands that I like, but I'm quite prepared to go and look at other things. I've got a very eclectic taste in music. Yeah. You know, anything from ABBA to ZZ Top is in my collection.
I think it's best. Don't rule anything out, man.
No, but my son being a musician, he's introduced me to a lot of the more modern music, you know, the likes of Shinedown and Blackstone Cherry and things like that. And I love those bands as well. Anyway, so any particular standout moments from touring with Wolfsbane that you'd like to share?
We've got a couple of really big moments, and one is supporting Ozzy Osbourne, Great British Music Weekend at Wembley Arena, and we were live on Radio 1. So I think we had about a 35-minute set there, and we had the airwaves to ourselves. We were in charge. That was it, man. We were broadcasting live on Radio 1. And at a time when Radio 1 was the biggest and there was no DAB, no nothing. And that was an incredible experience. That was just one of our biggest days, really, with Wolfsbane.
So you said that when you started, you wanted to be a singer and the band weren't particularly good musicians, for the want of a better phrase. I mean, how do you approach songwriting now as a band?
Well, we stuck together and we all improved, and, you know, you practice, you rehearse. One of the things we've always done in Wolfsbane is we've rehearsed as much as we can. You know, we were very lucky to have our own rehearsal room, which was a condemned room at the back of a pub in Tamworth, and we spent hours in there. We used to rehearse just like going to work, you know, every day, same time. Rehearse. That was it. So we've developed, and also I think that communication that we've had since we've done that first demo, we've put up with each other, and I think that's a big part of it. It's that compromise isn't the best word, but that's what it is. We're like, well, what can we all live with and what do we all feel is good? And it's this kind of thing of, all right, well, you've got to go through all of this to get that song idea done. It better be pretty good, because you can't get everybody to agree if it's not. So I think it's a vibe that we have. There's an energy when the 4 people are in the room, something happens. There's an energy there that you don't get anywhere else.
It's a bit like a marriage, I suppose.
People are in the room, something happens, and it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't really want to know the nuts and bolts of it, but there's an energy. There's a spirit that connects the 4 of us. It only happens when we're all together. We can still do things, but whenever the 4 of us are together, magic happens. That's how it feels. The spirit of the wolf.
It sounds like you don't have a lot of challenges. It just clicks.
It does, yeah.
Right. So, what are the biggest changes in the metal scene that you've seen over the years, and has it influenced you in any way?
Well, I think it's not just metal, but it's music, and that's streaming. Streaming, a lot of people don't understand what streaming means for smaller bands. One, to be streamed, you don't have to have a big record deal. You can approach Spotify yourself and put something together, and you can be on Spotify. And that means something that we never had when we started Wolsbane. The global listening community can find you, and you can stand out, and you can be suggested as something someone might like to listen to. So the other thing is, if you say, check my band out, here's me on Spotify, that's a thing that we could never do. You'd have to give them a tape or a CD, or they'd have to commit to buying something. And you know what? In the old music business, they wouldn't let journalists review an album until a certain time, but they'd advertise that album again and again, and we'd get fooled into buying something that just wasn't that good. So the people who've really suffered from streaming are the big artists when they make an album that is not as good as it should be. That's my own personal opinion about it. So I think for smaller bands and artists like Blaze Bayley and Wolfsbane, then we benefit from streaming. That's the biggest difference. And the other side of it is, I think this is changing very, very slightly. It goes with your point about independent music venues. Bands playing original material could get a gig for it and with enough money to cover their fuel, just because they had a line in the magazine. And I think that's more challenging now for bands to go, you know what, this is our name, this is what we're called, whatever. It's more difficult than it was before to get people to see you. And I think it's not good for the scene that people have forgotten really about bands playing original material. For me, if I see someone playing original material, it doesn't matter how competent they are. I'm interested in their ideas. Starting an open mic night and things like these are very exciting things for me.
So basically, if you had a pearl of wisdom that you could give to a band starting out, what would that be?
Well, first of all, don't do it. That's the thing. Just don't do it. Because I remember talking to Simon F. Meek, fantastic producer, and he said, well, it's going to take you 10 years to get anywhere, mate. Take you 10 years. In that time, you could be a doctor or a lawyer or a fully qualified electrician or plumber. You could be earning decent money. Do you really want to do it? It's going to take you 10 years, no matter which way it is. 10 years to do anything. And that's without, even if you go to school, college, whatever, to get anywhere. And so, first of all, do you really want to make that commitment? Second of all, if you're going to listen to a creaky old fart like me telling you what to do, you shouldn't really be trying to make it in a band, right? Because when we started in Wolves, we go, well, who said? Who said? People would say, oh, you can't do that. Just go, who said we can't do it? You don't know me. You don't know me, so forget the fact you can't do it. Don't tell me what I can do. All right? So, first of all, don't listen to anybody that tells you can't do it. And the second thing is you now have a duty more than ever to make sure that the first thing people hear is good. And you better rehearse and you better focus on your song. And you better make sure that those songs, don't matter what style, progressive, pop, whatever, glam metal, don't matter what style you choose to play, those songs better be meaningful and they better do something. And don't put out anything that doesn't sound great, because you have an opportunity now. The next thing is learn to record yourself. Learn to use that laptop, make your own recording studio. It's all possible. It only takes a couple of grand. And if you're handy, you can do it for less than that. Make your own studio, make your own recording, learn to record yourself, and you will be able to get results that are really, really good and worth listening to. That's your duty. Don't matter how good you are on that guitar or bass or drums. Don't matter if you're a virtuoso. That's only half the job. Half the job. If you write a great song, it's only half the job. The next half, learn to record that and bring it to life. Make sure that people, when they hear it, without you there, without seeing you, go, blimey, no, that's good. Well, that's what you've got to do. And you can't be easy on yourself and go, oh, but I've spent all this time learning to play guitar. Why aren't people interested? Well, ask yourself. Ask you, why aren't they interested? Ask you, why should they be interested? Why should anybody be interested in what you do? Make it interesting. Make it worth seeing. And that's the fire that we've got to have as artists, not just new artists, but in Wolsbane, in established bands. In Wolsbane, it's the original lineup from the first album. It's the same creaky old farts. We were young, passionate men then. We're still passionate now about what we do. And that's what, when you're a young band, when you're starting out, you've got to have that passion and you've got to have that fire. And whatever someone says is impossible for them, not you.
Fair play. Fair play. Well said. Well said, that man. So, you did mention you've got some tours coming up, both yourself and Wolfsbane.
Yeah.
And new music?
Well, we are working on a Wolfsbane album right now. It's happening right now. It's in the background there. We're mixing the new Wolfsbane album. And what we've done is we have re-recorded, reimagined the first Wolfsbane album from 1989. And it's called Live Faster. And it's something we're very, very proud of. What's happened is over the years since we made that album, we've played those songs live so many times. They've got a different feel. They have their own life. And we thought, one, the album doesn't exist anywhere. It's not on Spotify or any streaming or anything like that. And two, we thought, why don't we take that as an opportunity to do something, bring these songs, do what we do live with these songs and get that onto an album. And that's what we've done. And so far, it's very, very exciting.
I mean, a lot of techniques have changed over the last 40 years, haven't they? You know, the recording has changed. Your performance has changed, I should imagine, exponentially.
I think for me, the biggest thing is the recording process has changed in a way that two main things. One is confidence and one is technology. And I am more confident now about recording and how to get the results that I want for myself and how I feel the band should be. And everyone in the band has a feeling of this is how we can get the sound. And you can get that sound that you've imagined and you can get that together. And there's a confidence is, I'll do it the way I want. No, this works. It's not conventional, but this works and it works for me. So, you know what? I met someone years ago, Don Docken, and it was a revelation for me. And he said to me at the time, he said, oh, you're singing in a booth. I'm going, yeah, it's normal, isn't it? Don't you have to? He goes, no, No, you don't have to sing in a booth. You can sing live in a control room. I said, hey, and he showed me and he talked about the techniques of how you can change things around. And I'm like, wow. And then when I had the chance to do things for myself, I'm like, no, man, I'm not going in a booth. I'm a live singer. Started off in Wolsbane because we wanted to play live. We wrote our first songs because we wanted to play a gig and we wanted catchy songs to play to people. We wanted to jump around like maniacs in front of people, not be locked in a booth with headphones, like on your own. What's that got to do with performing live? Nothing is the answer. So all my recording now, I don't go into a booth or anything. I'm just sat looking at the engineer going, ah! It's as simple as that. And the technology that we have now is, right, you set all the stuff, check, you're done. You're done. That's it. It's like people go a bit more, a bit years ago, you'd be going, okay, a bit more. All right, we've got your level, ready to start. You've already been going for 4 hours. The best
The voice is gone.
Yeah, the best of it's gone. And also all the exuberance and energy and excitement, that's also gone. So in a modern world, you just go, 1, 2, check. Well, yeah, I think I'll work. And you've got all kinds of technology that won't limit us. All this thing, you go, rah! Have a couple of goes at it. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, we got it. With all the excitement that was missing or killed or squashed by those
booths.
Those times gone by, man. That's it. That was convention. And that's one of the best things about recording now. It's just not the big fuss, and you can bury yourself in the song, and you can be looking at the producer and go, yeah, how'd you feel? Yeah, let's go. Yeah, we're going great, and get some kind of feedback rather than be in a wind behind a window or over a camera. Go, how's it? It's no feeling at all. There's no emotion. So that's a big change for me.
Good. So that would be one thing to say to anybody. That would be a good legacy to leave. Say, don't do it in a booth. Do it like you want to do it live.
If you want to do it in a booth, you can do it. And what I'm saying is do what suits you. If I'm not really a recording artist, I'm a live singer, I'm a front man that learned to sing because I wanted to be in a band. That's it. I'm not a natural singer. I'm not gifted or anything like this, immensely talented in singing. I'm someone that loves to sing and I love to write songs. I love the puzzle of writing songs. So for me, this is what works. But if you've got to do what works for you, you've got to find your own way that will bring out, I feel, as a producer myself, I feel you've got to bring out whatever's inside that's unique about that person.
Well, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure talking to you.
Okay, thanks, David.
Thank you very much for your time.